Today on Northern Revolutions, I'm going to try to put into words how important Robbie Robertson was to me as a musician, as a songwriter, as someone who's marked some pretty important milestones in my life. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. Tough video to make. Obviously, we've lost countless musicians over the years. This is the one that really has profoundly affected me. Robbie Robertson from the band, who passed away last Tuesday. I don't have words to articulate how big of a piece he is in the, musical jigsaw puzzle that is, my life and my musical experience. Big part of Robbie Robertson and the band is so deeply tied to my dad. I'm not going to get into that in this video. The band and my dad are forever linked. The band was one of the very first acts that I discovered as a young teenager, and that's because of my dad. So I've had nothing but admiration for Robbie Robertson and the rest of the members of that group. For me, as the Canadian vinyl guy on YouTube that is kind of obsessed with Canadian music, the band is, for me, they're a local band. Yes, Levon's from Arkansas, but the rest of the guys are from Toronto, which is 45 minutes that way, or Stratford, Ontario, which is 45 minutes that way. They're a local band for me. I never got to see them, unfortunately. I know people that know them. I know people that have performed with them. But I'm rambling because I'm having trouble with this one. It's hard to put into words. So instead of me rambling forever, make it concise. I'm going to talk about my 10 favorite songs written by Robbie Robertson. Number 10 on my list is from an album that I don't think gets a lot of love. From 1977, Islands. Not a great album, truthfully. I mean, it's fine. If any other group had put it out, it would be a lot better, but because in comparison to all their other stuff, it really pales in comparison. But my number 10 song in here is a Christmas song. Robbie Robertson wrote a song called Christmas Must Be Tonight, and he wrote it as a gift to his very young newborn son. Sebastian was his name. It's a biblical song. It's a song about the birth of Jesus and that whole Christmas story kind of deal. Listen, I'm not a religious person at all. I just love the song. It's really that simple. I think it's a Christmas song that never really caught on. I guess it gets played on the radio from time to time at Christmas, but it should have been a bigger part of, those Christmas songs you hear all the time, and it really wasn't. But Robbie tells the story in a beautiful way. Rick Danko's vocals on this are stellar, as they all are. You'll notice a trend. Every song on my list is either a Rick song or a Levon song, except for one Richard Manuel song. No disrespect to Richard Manuel, just most of my favorites are Rick and Levon. But Christmas Must Be Tonight, number 9, off of the album Cahoots. is a song called Life is Carnival. I mean, nothing deep about this song. It's kind of an up-tempo um, song. I don't think there's anything uh, metaphorical about it. Life is a carnival. Um, it's just one of those toe tappers, um, just on a superficial level. I just have always loved that song. Number 8 on my list is from this brilliant album, Stage Fright, which is their third studio album. Some folks may recognize it like this, as this is how you often find it. But originally, it came with a slipcover like this. Um, the song in here that I love is The Shape I'm In. Great song. It's about a guy just kind of struggling with, his lot in life, essentially. You don't know the shape I'm in. Has anybody seen my lady that's living alone? Drives me crazy. You don't know the shape I'm in. A great Richard Manuel song. Richard Manuel was their piano player, had a great voice, and sang some of their most incredible songs. It's the only time he appears on my list, though. Nothing against Richard. For some reason, just the way the way they came out. Every other song I've picked on here is either Rick or Levon, but Richard Manuel, just what a kind soul of a man by all accounts. So The Shape I'm In. Number 7 on my list is from my favorite album. They're self-titled, The Band. We also call it the Brown Album. And I love everything on this, and there's so many on here that I look and go, well, that could be in my top 10, and that could be in my top 10. But not everything can be in the top 10. But this song has always fascinated me. There's a song in here called The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down. That's my number 7. Sung by Levon from Arkansas. Written by Robbie Robertson from Toronto. It is an American folk song that Robbie wrote about the experience of a Southern farmer named Virgil Kane during the Civil War, fictitious person, who lost part of his family because of the Civil War, was, a little nerdy here, was living through the raids of General George Stoneman, who was a Union general that in 1863 and 1864 was charged with taking his infantry and raiding Robert E. Lee's supply lines in the states, in the Confederate States, ripping up railway lines to disrupt his supply lines and that kind of thing. Could you tell I have an American history degree? Anyway, I just think it's fascinating that a Canadian could write about this, the suffering of this Southern American experience from 100 years ago and doing it in such a convincing fashion. Great song. Number 6 on my list is from an album actually I don't listen to a ton, Northern Lights, Southern Cross. There's a Levon sung song on here called Ophelia. It is it's about a guy looking for this woman named Ophelia. There are many theories about who Ophelia is or was, whether it's based on a real person, whether it's based on Shakespeare's Ophelia. Robertson has never come out and said, but Levon just does such a great job singing this song. Levon's vocals sell me on a lot of songs, but Ophelia is just, it's great. I just love that there's so many interpretations of this. Like I said, ranging from, is it Shakespeare's Ophelia, or is it a black woman named Ophelia that was forced to leave town because of, racial pressures? It's open to interpretation, which I love, but it's also just a damn good song. Ophelia My number 6. Number 5 comes from what I consider to be the greatest live album ever recorded. And this is The Last Waltz by the band. Ultimately was their final performance. It was a Thanksgiving show, the Winterland Ballroom in San Francisco. It was a movie, a concert film that Martin Scorsese directed. And it is the band doing what they did best, being a live band. And they brought all of their famous friends. Eric Clapton, Ronnie Hawkins, Emmylou Harris, Bob Dylan, Neil Diamond, Paul Butterfield, Van Morrison, Muddy Waters, Neil Young, Ron Wood. The list goes on and on and on. It was just everyone joined them on stage to play songs, and it's incredible. If you haven't seen The Last Waltz, go see The Last Waltz. It's phenomenal. But off of here on the Last Waltz Suite, which was filmed separate from the main concert, they did a song with Emmylou Harris called Evangeline. It is a song sung by Rick Danko and duetted with Emmylou Harris. And it's about a riverboat gambler. But again, it's Robertson's ability to capture that Southern experience. I don't know how on the mark he is. Obviously, I'm not from the Southern U.S. I'm from near Toronto, like Robbie. But, he does a very, very good job of painting that picture. And it's just a great story about this riverboat gambler. Rick's vocals are amazing. Emmylou Harris is stellar, and it's just a fantastic duet. The only time it appears is on The Last Waltz. Number 4 on my list, you've seen this album before, Stage Fright. Number 4 on my list is the title track, Stage Fright. I mentioned this is the band's 3rd album. They had tremendous success with their first album, Music for Big Pink. Tremendous success with their second album, the self-titled album. And this album, Stage Fright, is really thematically, it's about them trying to come to grips with the fame that they have received because of those albums and sort of their insecurities in dealing with that. I don't think any song illustrates that thematically better than the title track, Stage Fright. Don't leave me alone in the spotlight. It's really deep, but a brilliant song, and really illustrates where these guys were at that time. Number 3 on my list, when we revisit Northern Lights, Southern Cross. Song on here called It Makes No Difference. Wow. Kind of like an American country Southern ballad, I guess probably a way to describe it. Often described about as maybe the saddest song ever. It's basically about a guy or person, I suppose, that cannot get over a relationship that he lost, and nothing but heartbreak. And essentially the song is saying it makes no difference where he goes or what he does. He's kind of an empty shell of a person because of his loss. Wow. This is one song by the band that is highly, highly revered by other Canadian musicians. This and The Wait, which I'm going to talk about. Both of those Canadian musicians view as sort of masterpieces. I've seen many Canadian bands perform either one of those songs live. Give you an example. I talk about Blue Rodeo all the time. They used to do something called the Stardust Picnic, which was an outdoor festival at Fort York, which was a 250-year-old fort near Toronto. And they closed out one year, they closed out the festival with It Makes No Difference. And they brought everybody on stage. And it was just like this giant who's who of Canadian music paying homage to the band, singing It Makes No Difference. Incredibly powerful. There's a bootleg recording of it, which I have, which is great. It's just a wonderful song that I've seen countless acts here locally perform as homage to these guys. Wonderful song. Number two, I think this song might be the one that first hooked me on the band from the self-titled album, Up on Cripple Creek. Levon Helm sings this. Just a great toe tapper, up-tempo song. It's about a truck driver, and he's tired of sort of life on the road, and he makes a stop to see his girl Bessie when they get into some adventures. Probably a good way to put it, which makes him really not want to be out on the road. Just a great song. One of the first songs I ever learned to play guitar. Used to get a lot of radio airplay when I was a kid on oldies radio, and it was the one that just I think I may have really liked that and said to Dad, like, it's the song Up on Cripple Creek, and he kind of went, you got to listen to the Brown album. I kind of think that's how that transpired. So, Up on Cripple Creek, which of course, for any fan of the band would know that my number one is going to be from music from Big Pink. It's The Wait. There's some other absolutely phenomenal songs in here, like Tears of Rage, which was co-written by Bob Dylan, Caledonia Mission, Chest Fever, This Wheel's on Fire, which is another Dylan co-written song, I Shall Be Released, which is another Dylan song. Great album. Generally regarded as the band's best album, though I prefer the self-titled album more. But The Wait. I don't think there'd be any argument that The Wait is the best song by the band. It's about the town of Nazareth. Where that comes from, a little bit of trivia. When Robbie was writing this song, he was just sitting there strumming the chords in his guitar, trying to figure out the chord progression that he wanted to use. And he noticed that inside the sound holes on his acoustic guitar, which was a Martin, it said Nazareth, Pennsylvania, which is where Martin Guitars is headquartered. So that's where that lyric came from. It's not necessarily about Nazareth, Pennsylvania per se. Nazareth in this context may be fictitious, but anyway, it's about a guy's, a road weary guy that stops in to visit a friend and some friends of some friends. But it doesn't really matter what it's about. It's just a great song. It is maybe anthemic, not in its grandeur, but just in its reverence by musicians. And every Canadian band without fail will point to this song as some kind of an influence. I have seen countless Canadian bands perform this. I remember I was at a Bryan Adams concert once in Hamilton, Ontario, and he says, I've got a couple friends that happen to be in the building tonight. Do you mind if they come out on stage? It was Randy Bachman from the Guess Who and Bachman Turner Overdrive, and Kim Mitchell, who was a solo artist and also part of Max Webster. And the three of them, with Brian's band, did The Wait. Of course. Could have done anything else, but they did The Wait. It's just a song that is beautiful. It's poignant. It's wonderful. The Wait. My favorite song by Robbie Robertson. There's my 10 favorite songs by Robbie Robertson. That's it's a tough list to make because that list could, the top few, 2 or 3 or 4 are going to be about the same, but the others could change on a weekly, daily basis. But it was important for me to at least say a few words about Robbie Robertson. I have everything that the band put out. I love everything that they recorded. They are were a phenomenal live band. I struggle to articulate how important they are, but in my musical whatever, it's the Beatles, it's the band, and then everybody else. These guys are massively important, and because of what their music meant to my dad, it's all knitted together and very important. So for me, the loss of Robbie Robertson it's a tough one. I'm very sad. Obviously, never met the man. I don't know him. Still makes me sad though. I honestly feel genuine loss at his passing. So listen to something by the band, folks. It's incredible if you haven't done so already. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the flip side. Bye.